In this video, I will show the utility plywood deck build for the V50. This build requires no alteration of the body of the car and is completely reversible. The reason I'm going to take this out today is to show it for the video and to condition the rear seats, because you do not have to remove the rear seats and they're actually a part of the structure that allows you to have a lot of weight on this board. That's just a plastic topper from a toolbox, Husky toolbox I think, and it's held in by 4 metal screws. 3/8 self tappers are what I use in this build, and you will see when I take them off that you trim the bottom of them in order for them not to dig into the carpet. So you'll see that once the board is out. For the purposes of this video, I don't need to remove that little plastic tool tray. It's going to come out with the whole structure once the other screws are taken out. So as you can see, I've got some tie down points, just D-rings with, again, 3/8 metal screws that are shaved off on the bottom so they don't dig in. I have one of those other style, and what you should remember and why this flatbed build is so useful for bigger items is that you have these 2 rings from the factory on both sides, which you can put a ratchet strap on for a larger item. You can ratchet strap to these style D-rings, but these are better for bungees. But I do use straps on them sometimes for generators and other large items. So when it's empty, going over bumps, everything stays relatively good because the structure at the front is what holds it down primarily, and as soon as you have a bit of weight back here, then nothing moves. But as you can see, this part of it is free floating, okay? It works just fine for any kind of thing that I've put in here. So let's go to the front and remove the screws that are going into the 2x4 frame. Minor correction, I am going to remove the plastic tool tray because some of the structural self-tappers are actually underneath that tool tray. Okay, so we're looking in this area where the screws are, all along the front here into the seat backrest. Alright, so you saw how easy the board came out. Now you see how OEM everything is underneath. Let's go to the front and look at the structure braces. So there are 3 structural braces. I'll give the measurements for these later. They are zip tied in, so there's 2 holes drilled into the seat back latches, and that is enough. When all 3 of these get self-tapper screws in them, they combine in unity into one structure and things don't shift. But right now on their own, you can see how wobbly it is. Now I'm going to cut the zip ties so that I can show you guys further where the zip ties go into and the measurements. Now I'm just going to pull the pieces of 2x4 up. Alright, so now you can see I was lazy and didn't cut off the ends of the zip ties, but they're not visible, so I didn't care. But these are some heavier duty zip ties. So as you can see, it's just in the seat latch back and they just zip tie in. So all 3 of them are like that. So there you can see the seats are in their OEM position. I'm now going to clean them a little bit. I don't have a vacuum with me, but I'll just use a brush. Then I'll use some interior detailer to get rid of any of the grime. And then I'm going to apply a quality leather conditioner to them. And the headrests are inside of the house, and I'll be showing something about them in the next P1 Random series. Alright, so I clipped the seat backs in. Just make sure the seat belt is out of the way, because both times when I open it right now it wasn't clicking because the seat belt was getting caught in between the latch. So if you see it's not clicking, that's what the problem is. Now, to show you guys everything, that it's not all an awesome design, is that when that leather seat is folded down for a long time, if you look above those two buckles, it's creased in because it's pressured up against those. So this time I'm going to put a microfiber rag in there because I didn't know this, and that should alleviate how much pressure it puts into the leather. But this is definitely a necessity point for the conditioning and detailing that I'm going to do to these seats in order to put them back in that position. If you have T-Tech, it's probably even worse because that stuff tears pretty easily. I pulled the 2x4s straight out of the car. So as you can see, there's the car. This would be on the passenger side, middle, and driver's side. That comment might have been a bit goofy because all of them might actually be the same piece. And I don't know why I marked them when I did it, but there was some reason for it. Overall length, 25 inches. And the other two are also 25 inches. Length from back of board to first drill hole is just under 14 inches. And the second one is just over 15 inches, about 15.25 inches. The other two seem to be pretty much the same. If I remember correctly, the two drill holes in each 2x4 were done with a 3/8 drill bit. Now onto the board itself. The width is 37.5 inches. And the length is 62 inches. Alright, so here is one of the 3/8 metal screws that was from the toolkit, okay, but the ones for the D-rings are the same. So you can see I marked and put these all into the plywood, and then before putting it in the car so it doesn't tear and dig into the carpet, I used an angle grinder to grind them flush with the bottom of the plywood. So that's the screw. And with the board flipped over, I'm going to zoom in on one of them so you can see what it looks like. Pretty standard stuff for those of you that do things like this. And if you have an S40, your measurements will probably be a bit different because V50s were slightly longer, at least in exterior dimensions, than S40s. I'm not sure about the inside, so measure your stuff a little yourself. C30s and C70s, I don't know, and plus you probably wouldn't want to do any kind of a build like this. V50s are probably the best candidate for it. So also another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to detail those seats, but I'm going to leave them in the upright position so that they can breathe a little bit and the leather conditioner can work itself in.